All right. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another amazing episode here on the Train Hard Live Strong podcast. Today's gonna be a great episode, and I'm so excited to share this with you all. The other day, I was just asked this question, and and whenever I answered it, I was like, you know what, this would be a great thing to talk about on the podcast. Like, I get asked this kind of a lot, especially by dudes. And I was basically walking to the gym, right? So I have a home gym, guys, and I have a garage unit that's like down right here. So like I go down the stairs and I go down a little bit. I live in an apartment complex, so I go down and my garage unit is not attached to the building. It's not attached to a building at all. It's like by itself. So I go down there, right? And when I'm walking down there, a neighbor of mine is like, "Yo," I'm like, "Hey, what's up?" And asked me the question, from his balcony, and he's like, "Hey, if I want to get, more lean, I want to get more like more densifying the muscle, like just more muscle definition, do I do low weight and high reps, or do I do?" But basically said, "Do I do more reps or less reps? Like, should I go to failure, burn, or should I do heavy weight? Like, what should I do?" And a simple, I guess, answer to that question is do more reps, more isolated movements with low weight to really focus and dial in and concentrate on the contraction that you want out of that muscle to really densify every fiber in that tissue, that muscle group, to really lean out that muscle, right? Now, I want to talk more in depth about it because both of them are very beneficial to what you want to do and what you want to accomplish with your body and health. If you want to build muscle, you want to get big and get jacked, you're gonna have to lift heavy weights. You're gonna have to push the limits. You're gonna have to push the standard, right? Push your bar a little bit higher every single time. These things are, very important to understand whenever you're going under the barbell or you're sitting on the machine to do some leg extensions or leg curls, or you're trying to get, your dumbbells and you're getting ready for bicep curls or skull crushers. Whenever I was starting, I never knew what to do either. I never knew what kind of reps to do. All I knew that, if I'm lifting, I'm curling, I'm getting a lot of blood flow to my biceps. And if I keep doing that, then they're going to get bigger. And just because I'm lifting weights, I'm going to get big and strong. The way you eat is also going to be one of the biggest things that's going to determine whether or not you're going to lean out and, basically determine your whole physique. Nutrition and diet overall is very important, is crucial to how you want to transform your body, how superficial you want your muscles, how thin you want your skin to look. You want the muscle to pop up, you're going to have to focus on what you're eating, what you're consuming. But and when you train as well, you're creating an opportunity for progress, an opportunity for your body to be shaped in the specific way that you want it. And that's also very important too. So whenever it comes down to training, what should we do? Right. So let's talk about both of them. So what's happening whenever you're doing high reps, low weight? Like, what's the benefits of doing that? Number one, a lot of stress, a lot of tension off the joint for sure, because you're not overloading and putting too much tension with weight on that specific joint. Sometimes we do heavy ass skull crushers, or we're doing some crazy curls and, heavy squats, heavy bench presses. And those things are great. Lifting heavy weight and pushing heavy weight is awesome. But if you were to take time, and let's talk about bench press. Most times we just kind of like bring it down to the chest and just explode up, right? Trying to get as much weight as we can. Just keep slapping the 45s on there, guys. I want to get to 405. If you were to slow down a little bit and maybe go down to like 60% of your one rep max, and with that weight, take your time, bring it down slow, focus on the eccentric portion, the going down portion, stretching out the pectorals, right? And then it going up and still taking your time even on the concentric portion of the lift too, which is going up. Focus on each portion of the lift. Really pay attention to how you're contracting the muscle, how you're elongating the muscle, how you're really breaking down every fiber inside the tissue, and then focus on that contraction. Get as much blood flow as you possibly can with bicep curls, right? If you were to go lighter in weight, you can do more reps, right? You can dial into how you're moving, how you're really contracting the bicep. Whenever you're going heavy, you're just trying to get the weight up, right? And when you go down, you're just kind of bringing it down, like, oh my God, like that was heavy as hell. But if you are going lighter, you can take your time on the way up, even going down to your wrist mobility, right? If you keep your wrist and your forearm straight, okay, that's going to hit a different part of your bicep. If you relax the wrist, where the wrist is kind of extended back, right, you're going to get more of a contraction at the top part of your bicep where your peak kind of is, right? And you can really focus on keeping your humerus, the upper arm. If you keep it nice and tight next to the side of your body, nice and straight, you're going to feel a different contraction than if you lift your arm just a little bit forward. Like, these are so many different things that you can really dial into whenever you're doing low weight, high rep. and always going not always going to failure, but whenever you get into that burn, right? That lactic acid buildup, okay? And so lactic acid is basically carbohydrate being broken down into it, which creates lactic acid, and that's what gets pushed inside your muscles, right? Because it's like um, it's just the breakdown of a carbohydrate. Your carbs that you consume, turn into ATP. The ATP is what gives you energy whenever you're trying to move and do things like simple activities or lifting weights. So whenever that molecule breaks apart, the I guess you could say the gas from that breaking of the molecule turns into lactic acid. And that burn sensation is telling you, yo, you need to stop because we need more ATP or we need more energy, right? That's why you rest and then go back again. Or that's why there's drop sets, there's supersets. But if you stay into that burn and you stay there and you focus on the contractions, you're going to get an incredible tear down. You're going to get incredible that burn sensation. You hold it there. You're going to get a lot of growth opportunity if you stay there, because then you're going to go into a metabolic burn, right? Which is you're pushing the limit. You're creating a lot of lactic acid in that specific area, and you're really contracting and contracting and contracting. And even though you are burning, you have light weight, you can still push through that. You can still go through that road you're going down, right? Which is like a high rep, low weight, kind of isolated, focused thing. Okay. And if you want to go a little bit heavier, then you can. Being heavy and doing heavy lifting is different to everybody else, it's different to other people. Okay. My 80% one rep max, or my 80% of my one rep max on bench press is going to be feeling different to me than it does to you all. Your 80% could be heavier than my 80%. So everyone's different. Heavy needs to be heavy to you. Okay. And what I don't want you to get confused with is you should not push yourself. You should push yourself always. Okay. If you are curling 15s or 20-pound dumbbells, okay, but you can curl like 50 or 60, and you can do 50 or 60 for 8 reps, but now you're dropping down to 20, you're focusing on the contraction and you're hitting a lot of reps, right? 30, 35, 40 reps. And you're really pushing the limit. You're going from seated to an incline curl, really hitting that peak, to kind of sitting up and then doing regular curls and then standing, maybe doing a little bit of, standing double bicep curls with dumbbells. And you're going through the stages of fatigue. You're pushing the limit, right? You're doing a lot of repetitions. That's going to be a great way to densify the muscle, get the muscle as like really hard as possible. Whenever you do heavy weights and you're doing low reps, the benefit you get from that is really getting the muscle as strong as possible, being able to get stronger. So if you want to get aesthetically beautiful, a Greek goddess basically, lifting heavy is good. Okay, if you really want to push the muscle to grow, to get bigger, then heavy lifting is going to be a good resistance, a good tension level to maximize growth, to really get it there. 8 reps, 10 reps, 12 reps, drop sets, giant sets, staying in that little leeway there of repetitions, you're going to see growth. You're going to get into an hypertrophy zone. But lowering the weight and really focusing on the contractions of any sort of exercise or movement that you want to do, if you want to grow your triceps, and you can do pushbacks, skull crushers, overhead tricep extensions, rope pushdowns, you can do all these things. Really focus on the contraction, really squeeze as hard as you can, find different positions where you can get more of a squeeze than you could have just by doing regular skull crushers, right? Like if you go from barbell or easy bar skull crushers to then going into a dumbbell skull crusher, and then whenever you're coming down and the weight is hitting your shoulder, right? And you kind of let your elbows go back to like basically like rotating back to the back of your head, you're going to get more of a tricep stretch. And the more stretch you get, the bigger growth you're going to get, because then you're going to come up and contract. You're tearing down tissues, right? And there's two ways to grow muscle here. Either you're going to tear down tissue fibers to where they have to be rebuilt, or you're going to stretch out so much that your body builds new tissue, new fibers that haven't even been there. That's how you get bigger. That's how you grow the muscle, right? So low weight, high rep is going to be very beneficial if you want to get aesthetically pleased. You want to really isolate and dial in and get just solid, right? You want to just see definition. You want to really contract the muscle. You really want to focus in and get shape in your body. You want to have nice lines in your biceps, nice lines in your shoulders, nice lines in your pectorals, right? Nice lines in your abdomen. You want to get good legs. You want to focus on all these things. You want to isolate a specific muscle group, and you want to go for repetitions. You want to burn out that muscle. If you want to do heavyweight, low rep, that's also great too. But you got to keep in mind that the benefit of that is just to get stronger and to have your when you get stronger, that low weight, high rep is going to also get bigger. So instead of curling 15s for a max repetition of 25 or 30, then you can jump to 25 for a max repetition of 25 to 30. You see what I'm saying? So the growing, having strength phases in your weeks, in your months, in your training regimen, having strength phases is important. So you should have that because you want to get stronger, right? Getting stronger means you're building more muscle. So you want to get stronger. And the stronger you get, the more that your low rep, your low weight, high rep is going to be. And that's great because then you're going to break down and tear down and grow the muscle even more, even better. So what I do with my structure, me personally, as who want me, Matt, Coach Matt here. Okay, what I do is I'll have a 1 to 2 week strength phase where I'm hitting the compound lifts. I'm hitting them hard, right? And then after that, I'll have like a 4 week period where I'm trying to really focus and dial in and just concentrate on the contractions, focusing on the quads, focusing on the hamstrings, doing eccentric, slow, like negative sets, right? Focusing on all these things, doing supersets, really fatiguing the muscle, going into a metabolic burn with every single set and drop setting and giant setting and hitting high repetitions for like good 4 weeks, focus on conditioning. And then I jump back into a strength phase again so I can test my strength. Hopefully, I've gone up 10 to 5 pounds on my PRs on bench press, back squat, front squat, power clean, stuff like that. And then go back into my 4 weeks again. These are my cycles that I go through personally. And this is how I stay at a lean, besides with diet and nutrition, that's how I stay at a good lean aesthetic, I guess, pleasing physique or whatever for, yearly, year round. My body fat percentage doesn't really go higher than 10.5, 11% at max. I kind of stay between like 9% and 11%. But whenever I'm going through the, I guess you say high repetition, low weight, my body fat percentage kind of levels out at like the 9.5, and that's where I stay because I'm really focusing on my nutrition as well. But if you want to lean out, you want to get tighter, then hit the high reps, low weight. Focus on the contraction. Always focus on the contraction. That's the most important part. You can't just be going through the motions, going through the lift, expecting to get results. You need to understand. You need to feel the contraction. You need to feel the blood flow. You need to feel the bicep, the hamstring, the glutes, the quads, the shoulders, the delts. The traps. You need to focus on contracting the muscle, squeezing that sucker as much as you can, and then elongating it as much as you can as well. But in a slow repetition, take your time. Time under tension is going to break down the fibers like you would never believe, right? If you are someone that is crazy strong on squats, like super crazy, and I've told people this, and I've helped people do this. If someone is let's say they could do 455, 500 pounds on back squats, I dropped them down to 225, even sometimes like 185. And we're doing repetitions, right? I'm saying, hey, slow on the way down. Okay, halfway up, slow on the way down, halfway up, slow on the way down, explode up, and then slow again. I will burn them out and they will be sore, more sore the next day than they would if they just did 500 pounds on back squat. And not only that, their knees are going to feel better, their hips are going to feel better, their ankles are going to feel better because you're focusing on the actual muscle contractions, really dialing in and understanding that I can lift this weight. I can lift this weight perfect, great, because it's at a low weight and I can do it for a high repetition. The more contraction that you get, the more carbs you're going to burn. The more lactic acid you build up, the more carbohydrates you're firing through, right? The more ATP you're going through. And with that being said, your muscle is depleting itself. So the more you get to deplete something, the more replenishing you can do. And that's where growth happens. That's where getting more leaner happens. That's where getting nice, lean, strong muscle happens. That's where building the sculpt happens. That's where you can start to see striations and lines in your body and your muscles and your shoulders and anywhere that you would like. That's when that happens. So what's better, Coach Matt? Should I do low weight, high repetition, or should I do high weight, low repetition? You need to understand what you want to accomplish. You need to understand your goals. This is why dialing into why you want to train and what you're training for is important. If you just want to be a badass dad with six-pack abs and just a nice body, then have fun with it. Do what I do. Try what I do, right? Do 2 week training phase and then do a 4 week just body sculpting, aesthetic, conditioning phase, a lot of high intensive interval training, and then go back into your strength week again, right? Figure out what you can do with your body and what your body is able to do and how it's how it's reacting to your training program. That's also very important. I always like to analyze how my program is treating my body and see how my body is changing throughout my programs, how I am progressing. Because if you're not progressing in your plateau, then you should just, you need to figure something out or get a coach or get some guidance or ask some questions. But if you just want to live to be healthy, not really focusing on, aesthetics or whatever, then do just regular fitness, do your walking, do a little bit of lifting here and there, do some stretching, do some mobility, flexibility stuff, and just live life and be happy with it. If you want to get stronger and you want to hit PRs, then focus on strength, focus on taking care of your joints. Even though you can back squat 500 pounds, that does not mean you should not put on 135 and go through some slow eccentric portion lifts. There's no reason why you should not do that still. Lifting heavy is all cool, right? It's awesome. Pushing weight is freaking dope. But you got to understand there's going to be a lot of breakdown in the body, not just on a muscular level, but on a skeletal level as well. All the way down to your tendons, your ligaments. And the crazy thing that you need to keep in mind is that tendons and ligaments don't have as much blood flow as the actual tissue does, the actual muscle. So when an injury happens, this is why injuries with tendons and ligaments, they are kind of longer because there's not enough blood flow that go through there as much as muscle does. So whenever you're lifting heavy and the muscle's having to just whip, like whenever it contracts, it's having to contract like crazy because you're more focused on getting the weight up, which means that you're flying through the eccentric portion and just rapidly powering through the concentric portion. Then you're going to let the like it's like a rubber band, right? It's going to just fling back really fast. So, and that's only focusing on strength gains, getting stronger, lifting weight a little bit more better, right? If you dial in and drop the weight, increase the repetitions, stay focused on that burn and stay comfortable in that burn. Get comfortable as hell in that burn and be there, be present in that thing and understand whenever you're contracting the muscle and you are burning and it's just fucking hurting like crazy, stay there. Try to contract harder. Focus on the eccentric portion. Focus on what you're doing. Really get the burn, right? And then go to a different muscle group, right? But low reps, high weight is going to improve strength. You're going to get stronger. Strength gains is also dope as hell, right? But if you want to get that leanness, you want to sculpt out the body, you want to really just get the muscle, whatever muscle it is you're trying to achieve, whatever muscle group you want to, define more, focus on doing the high repetition, the low weight, more focused and concentrated movements. And you can do your drop sets, right? You can do all that cool stuff because whenever you're doing a drop set, even though you're doing a low weight, or excuse me, a low rep probably, which is going to be like 6 or 8 reps, even though you're doing that, if you're drop setting 5 times, you take that 8 and times it by 5. You just did 40 repetitions. So these are little loopholes that you can take if you want to do a high repetition, but you also want to do a low weight, or excuse me, a high weight as well. So these are like small little loopholes that you can gather, you go through so you can still lift heavy, do a low rep, but you're still doing a high rep at the same time because it's per set with different weights. And as you're depleting the muscle through different stages of the weight through a drop set, then you're really idolizing and you're really taking in what the body can do by breaking, I guess, like putting them together. So there's many different ways that you can attack this. So if you look at it just like that, how many times can I do this specific movement with a specific weight? Can I drop set? Do I leave it here? Do I focus on the eccentrics? Do I do negatives? Do I do power movements? What am I doing? Okay, it's always great to analyze what it is that you want to accomplish and how you're going to get there and just what it is that you want to achieve. All right. So it depends on what athlete you are, which one is the best. Okay. If you want to get nice and shredded, I highly recommend doing some high repetitions, some low weight. That can be seen in drop sets. That can be seen in supersets. That can be seen in just doing low weight, high reps. Focus on your negatives, focus on the eccentric portion of the lift, and really just dialing into the focus of the burn and that muscle. If you want to do if you want to do high weight, low repetition, that is more strength gains. You're going to get stronger, which means that you can also improve what your low weight is with the high repetition route that you want to take as well. This is why I like to put in 2 weeks of strength weeks, right? And then 4 weeks after that of just straight hypertrophy, high repetition conditioning. And that's what I like to do. That's how I schedule my stuff. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Hey, I hope I taught you something today. I hope if you are still having questions with you should do low reps or high reps or what it is you want to do, you can always ask. In every single episode, we have show notes. At the very bottom, you can see the email. You can see we have a page on our website. That's an ask page, and you can ask any question that you have there. Okay, this is how I get new ideas for the episodes because I want to get your questions answered as well. It's very important for all of us to get questions answered whenever it comes down to health and fitness, because this is who you are. This is your health. 110%. You need to understand yourself the best, better than any other doctor or anybody else, better than your own parents. You need to understand your health better than anybody in the world, because this is your health and you carry it wherever you go. So ask the questions. Do not be afraid. But I hope I gave you some value today. I hope I taught you something. If I did, please share this episode out with your best friend, your gym buddy, your mom, dad, cousin, uncle, coworker, neighbor, someone. The more people we get to listen to these episodes, y'all, the more lives we can all change together. And it truly does mean the world to me whenever I see, episodes being shared on stories, and it just truly means the world. And I love how we've impacted so many people. And it's just so awesome what you can do with the podcast. And it's so awesome that you guys tune in every Monday and Thursday. And I never thought we could be doing this on this level, but we are. And it's all because of you all. So I'm so happy that I'm here talking to you all and giving you all what you want and what you need. Do not forget, we are also doing videos for each podcast episode from here on out. So go ahead, head over to the YouTube channel, Matthew Fitness Trainer. We have a playlist called Train on Live Strong Podcast, and that's where all the videos are, okay? But we got some cool stuff coming your way. We got an amazing episode with Kelly Stone, when she flew into Houston to do just an interview with us. We also have an amazing episode with Shannon Montgomery, a third time, both of them, third time returning guest speakers to the show, and that's for a specific reason. So stay tuned for those episodes. All right, ladies and gentlemen, but other than that, you know how we do it over here. Get out there, train hard, live strong. Coach Matt, peace.